Scroll through Instagram for 5 minutes and you'll see it. Someone your age just got promoted to VP. Someone you graduated with just bought a house. Someone from high school just got engaged, had a baby, started a company, sold that company, and is now vacationing in Bali to reflect on the journey. And you're sitting there in the same pair of sweatpants you've had since college, eating cereal for dinner, wondering what exactly you've been doing with your life. You feel behind. Not a little behind. Catastrophically, irreversibly behind. Like everyone got a head start and you're still tying your shoes at the starting line while they're crossing the finish line and posting about it. And I think that feeling is one of the most quietly destructive things a person can carry around. Because here's the thing nobody tells you. You're not behind. You're just standing still. And those are two completely different problems with two completely different solutions. One of them means you're broken and running out of time. The other just means you haven't started moving yet. And I promise you, by the end of this video, you'll understand why that distinction changes everything. I want to tell you about the year I turned 24. I had just left a job I hated. I was living back with my parents, and every single one of my friends seemed to be doing something impressive with their lives. One was in med school. One had just gotten a job at a company you've definitely heard of. One posted a picture of a ring on her finger with a caption about finally finding her person. And I remember sitting in my childhood bedroom, on the same bed I'd had since middle school, feeling like I had somehow failed at being a functional adult. Like there was a syllabus for life that everyone else got a copy of, and mine got lost in the mail. I did the thing you're probably doing right now. I compared. I looked at where they were and looked at where I was and did the math, and the math never worked out in my favor. I wasn't behind by a little. I was behind by years, or so it felt. And that feeling sat on my chest like a weight I couldn't put down. It affected how I slept, how I worked, how I talked to people. I stopped enjoying things because I was too busy calculating how far behind I was on them. But here's what I didn't understand back then, and what took me an embarrassingly long time to figure out. Comparison only works when you're comparing identical starting points, identical paths, and identical timelines. And none of us have any of those things in common with each other. Not even close. Let's talk about the villain here, because there always is one. It's not your friends. It's not the person who got the promotion. It's the machine that shows you everyone else's highlight reel and calls it real life. Social media didn't invent comparison. Humans have always compared themselves to their neighbors, but it industrialized it. It made it constant, algorithmic, and inescapable. You used to compare yourself to the 20 or 30 people you actually knew. Now you're comparing yourself to a curated, filtered, best possible frame version of thousands of people, most of whom you've never even met. And the app doesn't show you their debt, their anxiety, their failed relationships, or the 4 years they spent exactly where you are right now before that highlight reel started. It shows you the trophy, never the training. There's research on this that I think is worth sitting with for a second. Studies on social comparison consistently show that people who spend more time on social platforms report higher rates of anxiety and lower life satisfaction, specifically because of upward comparison, meaning comparing yourself to people who appear to be doing better than you. Not comparing yourself to people doing worse. Just up. Always up. It's a treadmill that never lets you feel like you've arrived, because there's always a new person one step ahead in the feed. And I think that's the actual crisis here. Not that people are behind. It's that an entire generation has been handed a measuring stick with no fixed 0 point, and told to feel bad about the number. So here's the paradox I want you to sit with, because it's the thing that changed everything for me. Standing still isn't a permanent condition. It's not a diagnosis. It's not a character flaw. It's a location. You are standing exactly where you are, right now, and that says nothing about where you'll be in a year. Being behind implies a race with a fixed finish line and a fixed pace that everyone else is running and you're not. But that race doesn't exist. There is no universal finish line for turning 25 or having a career or being in love. There's just you, wherever you currently are, deciding whether to keep standing still or take a step. And that distinction matters more than you think, because the language you use to describe your situation determines what you believe you can do about it. If you think you're behind, you feel a kind of hopeless urgency, like you need to sprint just to catch up to a pace someone else set. That urgency usually leads to bad decisions. Taking the wrong job because it sounds impressive. Getting into the wrong relationship because you feel a deadline pressing on you. Comparing your rough draft to someone else's final cut and deciding your rough draft isn't worth finishing. But if you understand that you're just standing still, the problem becomes incredibly simple. Take a step. Any step. In any direction. That's it. That's the whole fix. I know that sounds almost too simple to be useful, so let me actually break down what taking a step looks like, because I don't want to leave you with a nice sentence and nothing to do with it. First, separate your timeline from everyone else's. This is the actual root of the problem. You are quietly, unconsciously running your life against a stopwatch that other people started. Deliberately go find out the real, unfiltered timelines of people you're comparing yourself to. Ask the person who got the promotion how many jobs they had before that one, how many nights they worked late, how many things fell apart along the way. You will almost always find out that the timeline in your head was fictional. Nobody's highlight reel includes the 4 years of nothing that came before the highlight. Second, define progress in your own terms before you look at anyone else's. Sit down and actually write out what would make you feel like you're moving, specifically for you. Not what would impress people at a reunion. Not what would make a good caption. What would genuinely make you feel like your life is going somewhere. For some people, that's a career milestone. For some people, that's finally going to therapy, or finishing a book, or getting 8 hours of sleep for a month straight. Progress that isn't defined by you will always feel like someone else's finish line, because it is. Third, take the smallest possible action today, not the biggest one. Standing still doesn't get fixed by a dramatic life overhaul. It gets fixed by one email sent, one application submitted, one conversation you've been avoiding finally happening. Momentum is built from small steps compounding, not from one heroic leap. Waiting until you can take the big leap is usually just a more sophisticated way of continuing to stand still. Fourth, mute the comparison instead of trying to outlogic it. You cannot rationalize your way out of a feeling that gets re-triggered every time you open an app. If a certain platform or certain people consistently make you feel like you're behind, that's not weakness, that's data. Adjust your inputs. You wouldn't keep eating something that made you sick just because you like the packaging. Now here's where I need to be honest with you, because there's a flip side to this that a lot of people don't want to hear. Standing still is a location, not a life sentence. But it doesn't fix itself just because you now understand the metaphor. You still have to move. Understanding that you're not behind can quietly become an excuse to stay comfortable exactly where you are, because it feels less urgent than believing you're behind. Don't let self-compassion turn into self-sabotage disguised as chill acceptance. The goal isn't to stop caring about where your life is going. The goal is to stop measuring it with the wrong ruler so you can actually see clearly enough to take a real step. When I look back at that version of myself in my childhood bedroom, convinced I was years behind everyone I knew, here's what I actually know now. That period wasn't wasted time. It's the reason I eventually figured out what I actually wanted instead of chasing what looked good from the outside. If I hadn't stood still for a while and felt uncomfortable enough to ask why, I never would have made the changes that got me here. The med school friend and the ring and the impressive job title, none of that was ever actually my race. I just didn't know that yet. So if there's one thing I want you to take from this, it's this. You're not late. You're not behind. You're not running out of time on some clock nobody handed you the terms for. You're just standing still, and standing still ends the second you decide to take a step. I know there's a lot of these videos floating around telling you to just believe in yourself and move on with your day, but I'm trying to make this one actually useful, with an honest story instead of just a slogan. I don't know your exact situation, and this obviously won't apply perfectly to everyone. But if this reframed even one thing for you today, that's genuinely a win in my book. Let me know in the comments where you feel like you're standing still right now, because I promise you, you're not the only one in that room. That's it for today's talk, and we'll talk again soon.